podcast where we tackle the hobby's hottest topics in depth to help you navigate the sports card landscape and enjoy the hobby we all love. Here's your host, John Newman.
Welcome to episode 92 of Hobby Quick Hits. You're going to notice it started with Friday Sports Card Nation show. We have changed the two shows up. They will remain on the same day, Sports Card Nation on Friday. This here show will be released on Mondays, as always. The only thing different on this show, Hobby Quick Hits, you're going to notice we are going to do the new product release schedule for the week on this show rather than Sports Card Nation. My Q&A, where I take a question that's asked of me and answer it on the air, so to speak. That's going to come over here as well. And the week's hobby news will be on this show rather than Sports Card Nation. Why the changes in these segments coming over here? To balance a couple of reasons. Number one, to balance both shows out. Trying to keep them both under an hour. Think I can do it, or pretty close to do it. Be more consumable. And this show's Hobby Quick Hits. And we're going to put the news, the new release, and my rant, whatever topic, all in one show. Just makes more sense to have the news and the news releases for the week, right, fresh off on the start of a Monday. Just sort of makes more sense when you combine it with making both episodes time-wise under an hour. So I hope you enjoy the new format changes. I mean, all the segments are the same. It's just what show they'll appear on. So Sports Card Nation on Friday will be mainly just that interview for whoever that guest is that week. So let me know what you think of those new changes. That's how we get better and make improvements. And I take every message I get and read it. And I try to respond to all of those. So don't be shy don't be shy to tell me something's bad or bad decision or didn't like your take or whatever. Again, that's how we get better. If you're respectful, I'm respectful. So I don't take anything too personal. So speaking of personal, it's Christmas week. So first off, let's start off by saying I wish you and yours a Merry Christmas or whatever holiday you do celebrate. And I want to try every year that I'm doing podcasting, do one of the shows on Christmas week have sort of a family feel to it, if you will, or whatever that means. And this week that was easy to do because I'm having my dad, Barry Newman, is back in the house today for this show. And the reason he's back is, if you remember hearing him talk on Dr. Beckett's show or on Sports Card Nation on the episode he was on, he lived in Ebbetsfield, went to a lot of Ebbetsfield games as a kid, growing up in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, and with Gil Hodges recently getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. I thought it'd be a good segue to get him back on Christmas week here and talk about Gil Hodges. And I got some info that I think even my dad doesn't realize about Gil Hodges that he'll get a kick out of. So, and I think you will too. So, fun show today, a little laid back, not super long. And we're going to talk about Gil Hodges and some little unknown facts maybe that you didn't even realize about Mr. Hodges. And he's recently minted into the Hall of Fame. So with all that housekeeping and cleaning being done, let's get the show started by hearing from our great sponsor, Mojo Breaks. After that, the new release calendar and the rest of the show.
MojoBreakShop.com is the best place to get your sealed wax products and brakes. They not only have the best selection, but the best prices. Whether it's a box or a whole case, they are your guys. They ship worldwide to your doorstep. Their reputation as one of the most trusted in the hobby goes unmatched. They are the 2021 Topps Rip Party Champion Breakers. From sports card to Pokemon cards, their selection can't be beat. They offer daily deals and pre-orders.
Hey guys, John Newman here. Mojo's prices are already great, but to save an additional 10% off anything in their store, use the code QUICKHITS. That's QUICKHITS. Check out the full service store that's open 7 days a week in Santa Clara, California, or the website at mojobreak.com.
It's Max from the Sports Card Shop. Here are your upcoming product releases. On the 22nd, we have 2021-22 Panini Donruss Soccer, 2020-21 Panini Mosaic Basketball Fast Break, 2021 Topps Dynasty Baseball, 2021 Topps NHL Sticker Collection, 2021 Topps Star Wars Stellar Signatures, 2021 Topps WWE Wrestling, 2021-22 Upper Deck MVP Hockey. On the 24th, we have 2021 Panini Elite Extra Edition Baseball, 2021 Panini Flawless Baseball, 2021 Panini Illusions Football, and that concludes our releases. This week, Sports Card Nation listener exclusive deal is Flux Basketball Hobby Boxes for $2.79. Direct message us on social at the Sports Card Shop to get the deal. Happy holidays.
Answer my question! The question!
I'll answer the question. You want answers?
Right. Today's question is a question I get asked fairly often, sometimes even in person at a show where someone knows that I do content creation or a podcast, or a lot of times in DMs or emails. And basically the question is, hey, and I'm paraphrasing here because it's I get it so much, is, hey, I'm thinking about doing a podcast, a show. Sometimes I've even got a few of those where not even in the hobby space, but a different topic as well. But most of the time, 98% of the time, it's about pertaining to sports or in the hobby. I'm thinking about doing a show. What's the one piece of advice you can give me? And I'm going to give you, for this question here on the air, I'm going to actually answer it in more than one thing. And usually it's what I say to that question. And number one, I tell them to do it, right? I try to be encouraging and to go for it. And to, you don't know how something's going to turn out until you do it. You don't want to have regrets later on. And, hey, I wish I did that, right? When I didn't. So I always tell them to go for it. But as far as the podcasting goes, the one thing I always say, which I know is cliche, is be yourself, right? It's very easy to be yourself. You don't have to be phony, any shtick. Even when you're not yourself, there's going to be people that don't agree with everything you're saying or like you. So why not just be yourself? You're not going to win the whole room, but if you be yourself, no one can say you're phony or disingenuous. And that's how I try to be. The other thing I would say is definitely do not let the content creation consume you. It's a good way to put it, especially this time of year with the holidays and family. I just see, I'm going to say it without mentioning names, I just see a lot of other content creators, how do I want to word this, kind of getting consumed by this machine. I mean, the hobby, it's kind of settled down now. We had an incredible 2-year crescendo, and it was fun. It's still fun. I have a lot of fun doing content creation, but it's not everything I do. I travel. I just came back from a weekend getaway with my wife, do other stuff, but I just see a lot of times it seems, not everyone, but some of these folks doing this, it's like it becomes their life, so to speak. Not in all cases, but I think in some of them it does. And that would be a word to a wise, it's a piece of advice I give. Have fun with it. Do it, get it done. Enjoy it. You don't have to rush it, but, be careful not get caught in that machine where it consumes you and you don't do anything else. And people, say, hey, where you been? Or haven't seen you, or you don't call anymore, or you don't come over. don't let it affect your schedule to the point where it changes you. I love spending time with my family, whether it's my son or my wife, going to rock concerts. When the weather's better, I'm playing softball, I'm doing card shows. And when I say shows, I mean as a dealer, I'm traveling, and not just hobby traveling, but traveling in general. And, we only get one crack at life. You want to enjoy it. And when all is said and done, you don't really, we're all going to probably look back with some sort of little regrets and have you. There's no perfect game of life, but you don't want to look back and when it's too late and say, man, I really got caught up in that, and I didn't do this, and I didn't do that. And I can't do them now, and it's over, So enjoy it. Definitely do it. Enjoy it. Don't let it consume you. I think that's probably the best way to sum it up and make it as simple as possible. It's time for the Hobby What's Up, where we go around the hobby world and tell you all the latest news and breaking stories from the hobby we love.
What's up?
What's up?
What's up? What's up?
All right. Collectors Holdings, formerly Collectors Universe, aka PSA, has announced a new chief financial officer. His name is Jason Herenstein. He held that role at Flatiron Health, along with, that's Nat Turner's company, in case you're wondering. So he's taken the same role at Collectors Holdings. If you're, kind of leery like myself and say, man, comes from a health platform, how's he can help translate over to the hobby card end? Don't fear, he is already in the card space, a big time collector, so not uncharted waters, just coming over from Flatiron Health to take that same role with Collectors Holding. Topps, in case I think we talked about it on the last episode, their Topps Now Braves World Series card. They put that the Braves won in 5 games rather than 6, and they said Dusty Baker was the manager of the Braves when it's Brian Snicka. That will be, believe it or not, corrected. So anyone that ordered that card is going to get the corrections sent to them with it updated with the right information. So there will be 2 versions of that card. The error be corrected. I'm assuming they will have the same print run since they're going to issue the corrections to the originals and send them to who ordered the originals. So if you ordered a copy of that card from someone else that ordered from Topps, like on eBay, you may want to reach out to that person and see, hey, can I get the corrected version of the card that I'm ordered? Because they are issuing corrections. Speaking of Topps, the online exclusive product, the All-Star Rookie Cup, I got mine. I ordered 2. It was a max order of 2. And I got to say, I credit where credit's due. These cards, I'm actually having them in my hand. I know this is audio and you can't see them. These are very sharp cards. 10 cards to a box. It's a 100-card set if you're a set collector. There are foil parallels and variations. With the variations, there's 17 Hall of Fame variations, 16 Legends variations, and 17 active player variations, and 30 rookie variation. 1950 to 1959 subset. They didn't do Rookie Cup yet from 1952 to 59, so they're doing the would have been Rookie Cup cards. Those are kind of neat. 10 cards, all-time rookie cup as well. And one auto per box as well. And again, out of the 10 cards, I think 3 or 4 are going to be either the auto, a variation, a numbered or colored card. And I opened 2 boxes. I actually fared pretty well. Just doing this off memory. Got a Bellinger and Tatis image variation, Tanner Houck, Javier, Christian Javier, autos, a Griffey, orange parallel, super orange fractor they're called, or orange hollow fractors numbered to 25. I got a Pujols numbered to 50, and the cards themselves. I mean, I'm even just talking the base, nothing fancy, no numbered, really sharp. Really had me thinking about putting a set together. I'm not a big set guy. Matter of fact, I'm not a set guy, but it really had me thinking about pulling that trigger and trying to do it. I'm not going to, but the thought entered there. That's the reason I'm telling you that. Is just to get the point across of how sharp looking these cards are. So kudos to Topps. I'll criticize them when warranted, but I really like the looks of this set, and so 2 thumbs up from me. Some months back, on Sports Card Nation, I mentioned that it's only a matter of time before we get a shooting involving a big box store and cards. And here we go. It has happened. I don't like mentioning names, but, this happened in Kennesaw, Washington, state of Washington. Richard Yell, 31 years old, went into a Walmart and he grabbed some Pokemon boxes to steal. Started to walk out of the store. Got out of the store with the product. A loss prevention officer who was armed and had a license to carry stopped him to, stop him from stealing the Pokemon cards. When he kind of grabbed him, I don't know the specifics, but the thief fired his weapon. I don't know if into the air, at him. The officer was not struck, thankfully, but he did discharge his weapon. And the LPO, the loss prevention officer, fired back, striking Mr. Yell in the arm. Mr. Yell then, I believe, dropped the product, ran to his car, got in his car and sped away. They did track him down. The police did later on, and they found that handgun that he had, I believe, illegally, and a stash of stolen sports cards he was trading for fentanyl. So to supply his drug habit, he was stealing sports cards and Pokemon cards. And so, when I read this story, it's obvious that cards are now looked at as a commodity like that. They look like an obvious way to gain quick and decent amount of cash. And in this case, this gentleman was using the cash or the cards to acquire the fentanyl that he was addicted to. And it's scary times. We had the bullpen in LA, that the manager be accosted and zip tied, and $1 million worth of their inventory was taken. And it's just a crazy time with that stuff. It's one of the things, not having a store. I'm not one less thing I have to worry about. It's a scary thing, and I just hope, the ultimate price doesn't get paid for over cards. As much as we love them and as much as they're worth, it's not worth anyone's what. And I hope we never have to talk about that. But I don't know. So I'm not even going to say it. But, scary times with this stuff. So that segues right into The next story, 20-year-old gentleman, I'll use that term loosely, from Atlanta, is facing stolen property charges after he tried to sell a stolen Babe Ruth autograph card to a man in Pennsylvania. The man in Pennsylvania who knew that card had been reported stolen did the right thing and contacted police. They in turn set up a sting operation. The collector who was supposed to buy the Babe Ruth card stayed at home, but posed and stayed in contact with the person who had the stolen Babe Ruth and told him he would meet him in the Target parking lot to purchase the card. The thief, if you will, or the person holding the stolen property, flew into the airport, took an Uber to the parking lot. The Uber driver confirmed the identity and that he had a baseball card with him. And when he got out of said Uber, the police went ahead and placed the suspect under arrest. And the card was returned, obviously, to its proper owner, and charges were levied against the perpetrator. So, again, we can do I've said this before, we can do a whole show called Crime in the Hobby, and I would have no trouble probably doing a half an hour every week, if not more. So let's end on a little more of an upbeat note. Cooperstown, New York, only an hour and 10 minutes from me, and a place I like to go a few times per year. We'll be getting a new card store. Not that they have a shortage of them. They have 3 or 4, and they're going to have a new one in April of 2022, and this one will be different than the ones they already have because it will be Topps by Dave and Adams. So Dave and Adams Card World, the big, card wax wholesaler, if you will, retailer, distributor, whatever you want to call them, and Topps are getting together to open a conjunctive store that promises to have a lot of wax available to the public. And if you know anything or you've been to Cooperstown, to be honest with you, there's not a ton of wax. There is wax, but not like in traditional. A lot of singles, a lot of vintage, which are great and I love and I buy when I go there. But not a lot of sealed wax, not in the facet that Dave and Adams will bring it. So you'll see Topps branding on the store. And, it's going to be interesting with all the recent news. And now we have the lockout, which hopefully is really more posturing and doesn't get too serious. But that will be in April of 2022. And it's right across, I believe, if it's where I'm thinking, it's going to be really almost kitty corner from the Hall of Fame. If you're walking out of the Hall of Fame, you got to cross the street and go a little bit to your left, and that's going to be where it is. And obviously I'm going to check it out on my next trip to Cooperstown after it opens. So there you go. From time to time we have guests on the Hobby Quick Hits side of the show. Today's one of those days, and what I said on social media, Christmas week, I want to try to do one of the 2 shows with a family aspect to it. And with Gil Hodges recently getting inducted into Hall of Fame, I figured what a great excuse to have my dad come back on the show as someone who got to see the newly minted Hall of Famer play in person live in Ebbets Field. And so we're going to talk about that and some thoughts about watching him play in person and Gil Hodges' demand. So welcome to the show, Pops.
Thank you. It's a pleasure for me to be invited here, John. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, you're invited here anytime you want to. I just
Yes.
can't have you on the show all the time.
Right, that's what I mean. Thank you for inviting me on the show.
All right, so you had COVID yourself.
Yes, at the end of September till October 14th, I was quarantined.
Yeah,
But by October 14th, I was over it.
yeah, so that's good, and everyone trying to get boosters and vaccinated and whatnot.
Yeah, I
but,
got my 2 shots plus the booster shot.
Yep, you're lucky. We're fortunate that no big deal, made it through, and here you are. So
Yeah, thank God, thank the Lord. Yes.
Yep. So let's talk. Gil Hodges last week got inducted by what's called the Golden Era Committee. It used to be called the Veterans Committee. So he's in the Hall of Fame. Just your thoughts as a Brooklyn Dodger fan, with Gil Hodges being in the Hall of Fame finally.
Yes, well, like you said, I was on your talk show before and we talked about Ebbets Field. And I spent a lot of time at Ebbets Field. Naturally, being a Brooklyn Dodger fan, I spent a lot of time at the stadium. I was a diehard Dodger fan. And it brings back a lot of good memories. And I'm very thankful that you have the show and that we can talk about it because, like I say, it brings back memories and very good memories. And as far as Gil Hodges, he was one of the most likable ball players at that time, and he was a tremendous ball player. He was an asset to the team.
Yeah, I thought he should have been in sooner. I know a lot of people don't think he should be a Hall of Famer. Let me go over some numbers, Pops, with you.
Sure.
273 career batting average. He has 370 home runs, which, in today's game where they're hitting 500-600 home runs doesn't sound like a lot. But it was a different era then. Home runs and the balls were different and that sort of thing. We can do a whole show on that. 1,274 RBIs. He was a 3-time Gold Glover, 8-time All-Star, and that obviously those are just his playing stats. And many argue with the 3 Gold Gloves. I read articles where many of his contemporaries, guys that played with him, said he honestly should have won more than that. That he was arguably the best fielding first baseman, and he was so good that he just kind of expected it from him, and so he should have won more Gold Gloves and 8 All-Stars again. When he retired, Pops, he was the leading home run for first baseman in the National League. Obviously, a lot of people have passed him since his playing days are gone. Then he became a manager, first for the Washington Senators and then for a really bad Mets team. So his managerial record was 650 wins, 753 losses. But those Senators teams and those Mets teams were not great. So it's actually not a bad record considering, he didn't have great, powerhouse teams. And in 69, as you know, and most people know, the Mets shocked sort of the baseball world by, they call them the Miracle Mets for a reason. They beat the Baltimore Orioles when most people thought the Orioles were going to win that series in 4 games. Well, Gil Hodges managed that, got his second ring in baseball. His first one came with the 55 Dodgers as a player. This one came as a manager. Many thought, or felt like had he not been tragically died from a heart attack, that he would have probably got in the Hall of Fame on managing alone. He only got to manage 6 years, had, probably a good potentially 15 to 20 years of being a manager in baseball, and obviously that didn't happen. So, what do you think?
Well, I couldn't agree with you more, John. And it's sad in the fact that he wasn't alive, and I agree with you 100%. He should have been inducted before into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
He was what you call a real tremendous first baseman. And back then, like you say, a lot was different. It was a sport back then. Today, it's more business. But the ball players weren't making that much money, but they played for the sport. And that's what it was all about, the sport. They loved the game. And the Dodgers, like I said, that was my team back then. I was a diehard Dodger. And they had a great team. I mean, I remember the ball players, and I remember sitting in the center field bleachers and looking over the railing, seeing Duke Snider in center field, looking over to my left and seeing Ferrello in right field, looking to my right, seeing Gene Hermansky in right field. It was a tremendous time and beautiful memories, John.
So another stat. From 1957 to 1974, he also led the National League in Grand Slams hit as well. He was inducted into the Mets Hall of Fame in 1982. And here's something, I don't know if you knew this. Out of the starters from those Brooklyn Dodger teams back then, when you were going, he was the only starter never to be booed at home in Brooklyn. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that at all. That's news to me.
Yeah,
John.
so I mean, Jackie was booed, Duke Schneider,
definitely,
Pee Wee Reese, and I was even reading that even when he had some, he didn't slump a ton, but even when he was struggling a little bit, the fans loved him so much they still didn't boo him during some while he was struggling. And
well, he brought a lot of attention for the fact that. He didn't say much, but like I said, he was an asset to the team. He was what you call an all-around ball player.
Yeah, and the other thing I made an argument in his defense why, he gets overlooked because think about the era he played in the city he played in, right? You had the three New York teams.
That's
you
right.
Had the Dodgers, the Giants,
and the
Yankees. And so you had the Manos at the time, Mays, even on his own team, Maris. On his own team, he had Jackie and Duke Schneider, who were, in a sense, sort of first and second as far as, Lock Hall of Famers and whatnot. So he sort of got overshadowed not only on his own team, the Brooklyn Dodgers, but playing in the shadows of, like you said, Mano, Maris, and Mace. And I think he was sort of, I don't want to say forgotten, not forgotten, but he was sort of overlooked, sort of an afterthought when you put him up against those names. And I think that hurt. I think that's one of the reasons it took so long to get into the hall. And, he's there now. And here's his wife, Joanne, she's still alive?
No, I had no idea.
96 years old.
God bless her. I didn't know she was still alive.
Yes, Joanne, she's still alive, and so I don't know what kind of health or shape she's in, but hopefully she gets to go to the induction ceremony. But in the very least, at least she's alive, knowing that Gil eventually
and not that, but somebody being alive can really appreciate for what her husband received and being nominated into the Hall of Fame, which is very good.
Yeah. He lost another thing, too, in his defense here. I'm sounding like a lawyer, Pops, but, he lost playing time with World War II. He went and served in the military. So,
yes.
He had a couple years at least where those stats would have been higher. So those that argue, well, he didn't have this many home runs, he lost playing time. A lot of guys during that era.
Yes, a lot of ball
I don't want to
players.
make it to be him, but when you look at stats from that era, it's hard to compare them to the modern day because no one from the modern day went off and fought for their country.
Which is very true, John.
In the war. So you got to take that into account.
Yes.
So we can look at, he only hit 370 home runs. He lost 2 years. Even if he hit 25 home runs a year, those 2 years, you're looking at about now 420 home runs. Still, that's a good number. So, I think when people kind of nitpick stats from the war era, keep in mind these guys lost games. They lost at bats.
Right.
They lost, innings if there were pitchers, and we gotta keep that in mind. He was, his managerial career. was getting going with the Mets with that '69 World Series championship, and then in 1972, tragically, he had a massive heart attack. He was playing.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, he was playing a round of golf actually with his Mets coaching staff.
Oh, when he had the heart attack.
Yeah, well, he was done with the round of golf, and he was walking to his hotel room, which was across the street from the stadium, spring training stadium.
I didn't know that either.
And he collapsed. They rushed him to the hospital, but he died 20 minutes later at the hospital. 47 years of age. Just I know it was a while ago, 1972. I mean, do you have any recollections of when?
No, I had no recollection, but it's sad. He was a young man. I didn't realize that he was that young.
Yep, and a little known fact, well, now it is a fact. And, the manager, the new Mets manager after he passed away, you know who it was? You remember?
Not really.
Yeah, Yogi Berra.
No, really?
Yeah, so Yogi Berra was named the new Mets manager.
See, that's news to me.
Yeah, which it's all interesting, all interesting stuff. He won, we talked about his military service. He won a Bronze Star for actually seeing combat. So anyone that
he contributed a lot, no matter where he went.
He wasn't at a desk typing out stuff. He was in the heart of battle, winning a Bronze Star. Some other stuff that some people may not realize. He was the he played for the Mets, and when they started the Mets, and he actually hit the first Mets home run in their franchise's history.
Wow!
So he's the answer to that trivia question.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, who hit the Mets' first home run? Gil Hodges.
Right.
So never booed at home, and which
he was a well-liked man.
Yeah, well-liked. Again, great defensive and hitting ball player. Should have won more Gold Gloves. Lost service time. I think he should have got in. Sure, I'm biased. It is what it is. But
right.
He's in now. Better late than never. So, when he got inducted last week, I knew I wanted to have you come on.
That was awesome because I didn't know that either. Yeah. But I'd like to emphasize on the fact, and not taking any credit away from the Bull players that are playing today, but back then, we had what you call all-around ball players. Like I say, and a lot of people know, it's a big difference between what went on years ago and what's going on now. The all-around ball players, I mean, they weren't making much money what they're making today.
Well, I will say this. I mean, today's ball players, in their defense, I mean, they're usually bigger, stronger, faster, too, and they're working hard. There's new, workout equipment and training and rehab. But it is a huge business. The money, like you said, they're making. The guys that played in that, I call it vintage era, but war era.
Oh, yeah.
Did, like you said, most of them had jobs when the baseball season ended. Most of them had, selling insurance. They had regular jobs that they did in the off season. And so they played baseball to make a living, but not the living that today's players make. Well, and they, like you said, it was more for
a sport.
The love of the game. Well, the love of the game.
Right. It was a sport. To them, they loved it, and they enjoyed what they were doing. And today, like I say, no offense, but today it's more like a business. It's more for the fact that they're making so much money.
Yep. Well, Pops, I appreciate you coming on and sharing a little bit
a pleasure,
about Gil Hodges. I knew some of the facts that I had about him. I knew you may not have known. I thought you'd find them interesting as well.
Right. Well, I tell you, even though the Dodgers, they moved out to L.A., they're still in my heart as Brooklyn Dodgers. Yeah. And, it's a lot of good memories, and I'm happy for that.
Yeah, and Brooklyn's got another Hall of Famer to add to the collection. And you know this, I know. We don't even have time to name it. There's a ton of stuff in Brooklyn named after him. So from a bridge to streets to parks.
Oh, definitely.
Bowling lanes.
Definitely.
That'll tell you what Brooklyn thought of Gil Hodges. I think I counted when I wasn't gonna. I can't mention them all, but I think he has 17 or 18 different things
Wow.
in Brooklyn that are renamed to the
Wow.
Gil Hodges name.
But you know what's also a beautiful memory, going back when I was a kid and attending the field, Ebbets Field, is the fact that we'd wait alongside going into the dressing room. They would get out of limousines, the ball players, and they would shake your hand, pat your head. I mean, it was so comforting, so comforting.
Well, they were more accessible, more part of the community, maybe.
Exactly.
You know,
and a lot of them lived in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
They took residence up in Brooklyn.
Yep. I know he did. As a matter of fact, his wife, even at 96, what I heard is she still lives in the same house.
Really?
That they lived when he played there.
Wow.
So, how about that?
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. All right, Pops. We'll have a Merry Christmas.
Yes, you too, John. You and the family. And thank you so much for having me come over and do the show with you.
Yeah, and I'll see you.
Thank you,
see
John.
you soon.
Yes. Thank you, John.
All right. Thanks for listening to Hobby Quick Hits. We hope you enjoyed my dad and myself talking a little bit about Gil Hodges and his recent induction, which I felt was long overdue, as so did my dad, to the Hall of Fame. So I hope again you like the changes made to the format of both this show and Sports Card Nation. The main objective is to get the both shows under 60 minutes in length, which I think we'll be able to do most of the time. Little programming tease this Friday, December 24th, Christmas Eve. Little lighthearted episode of Sports Card Nation. We have Mr. Gary Denier. In case that name doesn't sound familiar, he is the thumbs down guy. The guy made famous at Citi Field for giving the thumbs down to the Todd Frazier home run, became a worldwide sensation, and his gift, with the thumbs down GIF when you want to respond to someone in a negative fashion or to say no dice. That's been used over 250 million times. He's a really down-to-earth, great guy. I like him already. Why? He's a Mets fan, so he's got that going for him in my book as well. We had a good time cutting it up, and that interview will air Friday, and we're going to talk about that whole day. We're not going to just talk about that day. We're going to talk a little Mets stuff, a little baseball stuff, but definitely going to talk about the day that made him famous. So a little lighthearted Christmas week, a little fun. Got to have some fun, and we're going to do so on the next Sports Card Nation. So with that being said, I want to wish you and yours a Merry Christmas or whatever holiday you celebrate. And be safe, be well, and we'll see you very soon. Well, a little PS here before I sign off. One little quick thing. A lot of stores right now are having you or asking you if you'll round up your bill to the next nearest dollar. In other words, if your bill is $24.48, they'll ask you if you don't mind making it 52 cents more, to the victims of the tornado events that we had this past week across the Midwest, Kentucky, and so on. And it's just a great way to do it without hurting your wallet too much. If you round up each time you're at a place that makes that offer, please do if you can. That money goes to help those families and people affected tragically by the tornadoes that streaked across the United States last week. And, just a few cents can go a long way if we all participate. And I know anytime I've been asked to do it, I gladly do it. It doesn't hurt me, and it's potentially helping someone else to rebuild, restart. Very tough time of year for something like that to happen. So please, if you can do that, or if you can just give directly to Red Cross, FEMA, there's some charities to help the tornado victims as well. We help plenty of people, right? when it's other parts of the world, but here is this time it's internally and it's us, and it's a good feeling this time of year to help others. It's good for you. So I can't stress that enough. And thanks in advance. All right, thank you for listening to another episode of Hobby Quick Hits. Want to give out our social media, starting with our website, which is www.sportscardnationpodcast.com. Facebook, you can follow us at www.facebook.com/SportsCardNationPodcast/. Twitter, we are at SportsCardNati1, so it's SportsCard NATI1. Instagram at SportsCardNationPodcast, or you can email the show hobbyquickhits@gmail.com. Again, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.